What happens to us when we die? Where does our soul go? If you have been religiously educated, then it is likely that you believe there are only two places you can come to, heaven and hell. If you are a good person and believe in the right, then you spend eternity in heaven. If you are a sinner, you spend the infinite in hell. This is a wrong dilemma, grateful way. Not only does it actually make sense to think that there are only two options, both of which are eternal, there has also been some scientific research into what happens when people leave their body at dying and then return after spending time in the spiritual world, and what experiences they had. If we want to know what awaits us on the other side, in a more detailed picture, then already thousands of nighttime experiences give us the information we need for it. Some report hellish levels, and almost all report heavenly levels, but there is another side to the med we need to address. Dr. Michael Newton, 1931 to 2016, was a psychologist specializing in hypnotherapy. He put people in hypnosis to extract the traumas of the past that they have experienced in their lives and to guide them through the memories of healing. He quickly discovered that he was able to bring people back so far in their memories that they remembered things that did not take place in this lifetime. They took place between lives. In his books, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, both of which sold more than 500,000 copies, he shows case studies he has compiled in 4 decades. They are about people whose memories of the soul journey have returned. Surprisingly, they all talk about the same things, and cover themselves very well with many near-death experiences. So far, this is the most accurate picture we can imagine of what awaits us on the other side. These two areas of study go one way. Here are the 7 things that happen when we die. 1. Life flash. A phenomenon that happens to people who die extremely often is that they see their entire life flash up in front of their eyes. The brain switches to hyperspeed mode and accesses your memory database before your soul separates from your body. 2. You can see your body. Many people look at their physical body the moment the consciousness leaves the physical body. You will be able to see the environment and the things that happen around your dead body. However, this will not scare you. It feels as natural as it gets. Some people report that they felt frustrated or angry about the way they died and wish they could get back into their bodies to avenge themselves. But that feeling fades in time as you begin to fall into the light. 3. The light. People always report seeing a light when they die. The light seems to come from a distance, and you are slowly drawn in, almost as if you were attracted to a magnet. The light is constantly perceived with a feeling of love and peace. This is the transition phase back to your home in the spirit world. 4. See deceased relatives. Then when you are drawn through the light and enter the spiritual world, you are greeted by your loved ones who are there to embrace and reassure you. It's like a reunion. It is not necessarily your relatives from your present earth life. It may be family members from previous lives who have gone through the entire soul evolution with you. Essentially, you have family members you currently do not know about, from a very different bloodline, that greet you as you enter the spirit world. Of course, you will remember their names and faces when you return home. It is important to remember that souls take on the exterior of their former physical form to create a sense of home and familiarity for you. Souls do not necessarily look like they are on Earth. The body is just the body. The soul is formless but can take on different forms, serving a variety of reasons. It is said that advanced souls who have lived many lives are not necessarily welcomed by relatives because they understand what the spirit world is and have been there many times. The books say that advanced souls sometimes skip this step because they do not need it. 5. Guardian angels. Spiritual leaders. You have your own guardian angel or spiritual guide, whichever you like better. Whatever you want to call them. You will meet your guide in the spirit world, and they will look after you and make you feel like you are at home. But this is also the time when the fun and the games are over. After experiencing some of the heavenly levels, duty begins. Your guide has been with you all your life, has been watching you, and would like to discuss a few things with you. It's time to take your testimony of the life you've just lived. 6. Life review. You meet your angels, guides, and you look at everything that has happened in your life. People report their entire life as a kind of film strip or as having seen the pages of a book in front of their eyes. You'll probably see things that make you feel ashamed and look like you've failed. But this is not a time of judgment. This is a time of review and discussion of what can be improved as a soul. After you see your whole life, you probably agree with your guides, after a certain time in the spiritual world, to come back to earth to work on things. 7. You do not want to go back. You feel so overwhelming peace and love that you do not want to return. You do not have to worry about illness or matters on earth. You are limitless, safe and free. No stress, no pain and no pain. But remember, reincarnation is probably waiting for you. You may undertake to voluntarily return to help other souls on earth. Maybe you'll must back to balance your karma. Or you choose to develop yourself as a soul and experience the richness of life. Remember, this is what thousands of people report on their memories, experiences from afterlife, and that these conclusions have been drawn through 40 years of professional work. Thus, it makes sense the reality of such a process, evidenced with evidence. There are people who tell of levels that are like hell and they saw demons and other horrible things. We cannot close our eyes to the reality of dark planes just because we might be afraid. Even if Dr. Newton has reported nothing of such finds, many people have had near-death experiences, very scary experiences that have distracted them from bad behavior and inspired them to a better life. The main thing that you can take with you is that you take care of yourself. You are loved infinitely and it is seen after you. There is no death, just a transition. You will be reunited with the souls of your beloved, and you will experience magical levels. Peace, love and clarity are waiting for you, but also sincerity. The fate of your soul is related to your behavior as human beings in this life. For some, these are good news, and others may inspire that to improve themselves. In any case, we should ask ourselves the following questions. How do I treat other souls in this world? What am I doing to help myself and the people around me to help develop? Example of reincarnation, rebirth. In order to clarify the reincarnation, rebirth, I have listed an example below, which is a very graphic analogy. Our present life is comparable to the active operating system that is currently installed on our computer. All programs and data generated are comparable to the experiences that we are making in our present life. If you update a new operating system, or even want to install a different operating system, then this is only possible if the old, active system is completely removed. After the reinstallation, the new operating system has no knowledge of the former system and the data generated with it. Similarly, we have no remembrances of our premature life. It can also be described as the ultimate master reset. The reason for this is complete independence from all previous incarnations. We should get the chance, completely new and unaffected, to organize our new life with new own experiences. In case of the computer example, the user corresponds with his own soul, which, just like the computer user, is constantly learning. The computer user would not even reinstall a particular program that caused him problems with the previous installation and therefore no longer likes it. Even Albert Einstein used to say, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. Normally our soul behaves in the same way. In the computer example, it would be fatal if the active operating system occasionally opens old data, programs from the previous installation. Then absolute chaos would be pre-programmed. The occasionally carried out so-called past life regressions, which can sometimes be used on experiences, knowledge from previous lives, are comparable with screenshots, snapshots of the old operating system, which were outsourced to a USB stick. You can then only look at them and maybe think, oh yes, those were the days. The end of reincarnation, rebirth. Since we are evidently in the end times, the Almighty Father Yahuwah has abrogated the long-running cycle of reincarnation, rebirth. Therefore, after death a person resides in a temporary heaven or hell. After this temporary realm, at the final resurrection, a person's eternal destiny will not change. What changes is the exact location of that eternal destiny. Believers will ultimately be granted entrance into the new heavens and new earth, while unbelievers will ultimately be sent to the lake of fire. These are the final eternal destinations of all people, based entirely on whether their Lord Yahushua Hamashiach, Yusesai or not. They had trusted Lord Jesus Christ alone for salvation. It is a mistake to assume that a soul can work off its own burden of sins by means of continuous incarnation. Without Jesus' grace and mercy there will be no renewed reincarnation. Souls who do not recognize the Lord as the Redeemer are far from His help. Help is always offered. That is the task of whole angelic hosts, but who refuses, threatens to sink more and more, which may ultimately lead to the dissolution of the soul. The necessity of a reincarnation on this earth is given in no case. However, on the part of the world of light a renewed incarnation is requested for the sake of a mission which can fulfill only a light spirit on this earth, which can then also enter into the being the child of God, but even without knowledge, only guessed by the mission that was given to him. Reincarnation in Christianity. Jesus taught reincarnation as a new chance, not as a goal.